I realized that I am on mute as I was waiting for that started. Again, anything happens when you're live. Welcome back to the Social Impact Level Up podcast. We are live and we are talking today about what's upcoming for season 4. We should be live on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So if you're joining us from one of those platforms, make sure that you hop into the chat and let us know where you're joining from so that we know you're here. And welcome to anybody who's on the live, who's just not sure where you're at or what you're doing. This is a podcast where we talk about social entrepreneurship, the ways that we can give back to the community through businesses and nonprofits. And I'm your host, Wendy Velos. We've been doing this podcast for 3 seasons now. We've interviewed over 60 guests, and we're looking to interview about 30 more in the near future. So really excited to do this next season. And I'm going to bring on my intern, David, and we're going to tell you more about what we got going on. So David, welcome. Welcome, first of all, to the podcast, David. You've never been on a live.
I've never been on a live. This is pretty new, but I'm excited. I'm excited for sure.
We're going to throw you right in. We don't know. This is your second week in an internship, and you're already live. This is great.
I love it.
Yeah. So tell everybody a little bit about you and who you are, and just introduce yourself really quickly.
Yeah, I'm a rising senior at Winston Churchill High School. This is my second year doing the Summer Rise program, so I feel like this opportunity it's been unique. It's definitely not your average internship. It's a lot more different than the one I had last year, but I'm enjoying it a lot. Like right now, I'm having a great time. I'm learning a lot, and yeah.
I did not pay David to say any of those things.
Nah, that's what I felt. It's good work, and it's gonna help me for the future, which is what's most important here.
Yeah, and really quickly, while we're talking about that, what is the difference between like the internship that you're doing and say like your summer job, for example? Because I know you
so my summer job as a lifeguard, it's a lot more just like people skills, like talking to people, making sure people are following rules. But this internship's a lot more like work, find out, like problem solve, think of different solutions. I mean, yeah, it's a lot different actually. I don't but this is just helping me figure out what I like and what I don't like for the future. So I think it's good.
Yeah, and you want to have those people skills because those are always going to get you far. But having sort of the planning, strategy background, we're also working on like technology and some of the solutions you can input into a business. So lots of different stuff that you got going on. So I'm excited for you. Cool. All right. So if you're joining us and you want to hop in the chat, let us know where you're coming from so we know who's here with us. I think I can see. We also turned on the comments, so they're just going to pop up on us. Be kind. We don't know what you guys are going to say. So let us know, what are your questions? So let's talk a little bit about the podcast. David, you just rewrote our official intro for the podcast. I haven't seen your work yet, but I'm going to look at it today. And for the last couple of years, I've been talking about the podcast being a space where we bring nonprofits and businesses together to think about how we can make an impact in the community. But you and Ishani, who's here in the chat somewhere, our other intern from Summer Rise, she and you thought it was a better idea to approach this podcast differently. So let's talk about your suggestion about storytelling. And where are we going with this?
I think storytelling is a great way to get your point across. It's a great way to engage your listeners. I think personally for me, I've had a great time listening to all the stories that Wendy and her guests and clients have had to offer. So I think if we just build on that for season 4, it's going to be a lot more interesting, just hearing the different types of stories and whatnot.
Yeah, and Ishani is here on YouTube, so hey girl, hey. We are excited to tell more stories, but so what kind of stories really resonate, particularly with Gen Z? Because this is something that you guys are also talking to me more about as your quote unquote internship boss. How do I connect with your generation? I'm more of a /Gen X slash millennials, the older millennial generation. But you guys have a certain way that you like information to go, and I'm learning quickly from you all that I need to make some changes. So tell other folks, what are your suggestions for reaching more of a Gen Z audience?
Well, one big way I think is the short form content, like we were talking about, the TikToks, and these short form have to be really like they have to be like hooks. You have to hook the listeners, and you have to really get their attention to keep them like wanting more. They can't just bore out after 10 seconds, because I don't know how some people are around here, but 10 seconds may be a long time. So I think having the short form, quick, quick hidden stories. I think that's a great way to reach the Gen Zs. And yeah, I feel like there's no better way than YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, or TikTok.
Yeah, I'm playing more over on TikTok, so I see your point with that. But a 10-second story. Do you know how hard it is to tell a story in 10 seconds? Like it's
Well,
literally what
I'm saying like something you say a hook that's like crazy, or like make someone laugh, and then they're like more interested. You know what I'm saying? So it's not necessarily you have to get the story off in 10 seconds, but it's like hook the listeners in 10 seconds.
fair. Okay, so you got to be really interesting in that first 10 seconds, and
Yeah,
then you can
yeah.
like, but then you got to not bore out, as you said.
Yeah,
So
but then there's also on like TikTok, there's like a neat feature where it's like 2 times speed. So then you can just 2 times speed, and then you
okay.
listen while you're still getting the information, but it's shorter.
Okay. So again, this is the opposite of the type of content that we're doing for the podcast, because the podcast is really long form content. So
Mhm.
what you're saying is inside of each show, we've got to chunk the conversations into short, interesting bursts,
Yeah, like
essentially.
getting those clips. Like I know a lot of people do. So there are these like popular Twitch streamers, right? And they stream all the time, whatever. They're on Twitch. People, obviously, there's a lot of people, but then they have people that clip their like funny moments on TikTok, and they just send them out, and they just keep on like producing them. And like a lot of them like blow up. Some of them don't do so well, but like still, I think it's a great way to like you know get your Gen Z audience into the podcast, because then you're like, oh, this is funny. Let me tune into like a bigger stream, and then see like everything. You know what I'm saying?
So they like, let me give you a bite size, and then you'll come and eat the full meal
Yeah,
later and
exactly,
listen to a
exactly.
full episode. But I have to keep giving you these short, like grabby attention span, like getting clips all the time.
Yeah, yeah. You gotta get the clips. I think getting the clips is a big thing. And once you get the hang of it, I think you could get clips pretty easily. But still,
Yeah, and well, it's all about having these really high energy, I think, bursts of conversations, which are a little different from the way podcasting had originated. Because podcasting is almost, if you think about it, similar to old school radio, which you probably would not have listened to this, but back in like the 40s and 30s, when people listened to radio over television, they had these really long, almost like movies that were described with, they'd have the sound of the rain and the horses hooves and all these things come through. Podcast is very similar in some productions. You have especially true crime productions, you'll have those extra audio things, but when you're talking about video, like the YouTube things that go in video, I mean, you really are just having a conversation.
yeah, yeah.
So it's hard to be punchy in 10 seconds all the time.
I got you, but that's just what I've gathered from being around Gen Zs my whole life, especially the younger generation. I see at the pool all the time. They're already on their phones, glued to them, and
And their
they just swipe,
iPads.
swipe, swipe. They don't even listen to the video. They just scroll the scroll. So
So you've got to be like in your face 1 second.
boom, in your face, boom, get them, and then
uh,
it's tricky for sure. But I think if you hit the right audience, like use the right content, I think that's a great recipe to like blow up on TikTok. But
Well,
also,
Ishani can throw
just
in some other tips too if you have any in the chat.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Let's see some chat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I love it. And so, okay, so let's talk about this season of the podcast. This season of the podcast is going to be community-led innovation, which I am excited to have some of the people that I've been working with on different community projects come through and talk about their experiences. So the question that we're going to be looking at, I'm trying to remember it, so I'm reading from my other screen, is how are you going to be inspiring change in your community and how can it be replicated by others? So that's the question that I'm going to be talking to all these different guests about. And you listened to a couple of guest episodes already, David. What are your perceptions of like the kind of guests that have come on and what kind of conversations we're having?
Oh, yeah. So the guests that we usually have on the podcast are people that are in the same realm, the same area, social impact, those type of stuff. And they usually have a good amount to offer. I think. Sorry, what was your other question?
Oh, yeah, but we're just talking about community stuff. Since anything you're excited about hearing about from these guests.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think the guests that we are gonna have should be interesting. Um, I don't really know them that well, but I assume if they're on the podcast, they've got a lot to
They're just going to
offer.
be good people.
Yeah, they're good people. They're there for a good time. They got it. They got a good amount of information to offer.
They
So
got it going on. Yeah. So some of the people that we have queued up, I have them in my brain. But a lot of them are, other social entrepreneurs, other coaches or consultants, people who are working with communities, and then also some folks who are from communities who are doing this work and are representing different geographic or different types of communities. So there's a lot of cool people that are coming on the podcast in the next season. And if you want to be a guest and you're watching us from YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn, you can go ahead and DM me and see if you fit what we're looking for this season. It's a really easy form and a quick little call. And then we can see if you want to be a podcast guest. So that's how we do that. And let's see. Oh, Ishani said that the interesting hook to pull in Gen Zs. It's such a different mindset, but I love having had you guys this summer come through and review a lot of the stuff that's already been done, give suggestions like how to reach Gen Zs. The other suggestions I thought you were really interesting, which we haven't talked a lot about, but were around commercials. You guys have a lot of opinions about commercials. Tell me, like, how do Gen Zs like to be sold to? Because obviously, everyone's getting sold to. And you guys buy, you have clothes, you have shoes, you have games, you have things, you have buying power. So how do you sell to Gen Z?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't really think you can, right? Because I hate it. I hate it when I'm watching a video and someone's like, "Oh, time for an ad break." I hate that. I just skip right through it. So I don't really know a way. There's got to be some way, but I don't know that just yet because you kind of got to do a lot of segue. You got to segue it nicely. Now we're from our sponsors, stuff like that. And I think it's hard for sure, but I think there's definitely a way to do it.
But you guys are very adverse to the idea of a direct sale, is what I've heard.
Yeah, I think that just like abruptly, given a word from the ads, I think that's, I don't know. Maybe I don't know if this is like the right thing. It kills the vibe. I'm listening to you talk, flow, and then we gotta add. But you gotta do what you gotta do.
It's hard because this is how when the technology for how to do a podcast intervenes with the user experience of the podcast, right? So the way that ads are put in and how they're edited and all of that all has like technological things that are behind it. So it's food for thought. And I think one of the things you both mentioned was maybe put the ads at the end of the show so that it's not like in the middle where you're in the flow.
Exactly. I think because also you're already at the end. There's no reason to skip it. You're just gonna be listening, and I think just push it to the end. Just integrate it slowly. I think that's a great way.
My sister's calling me. She's like one of the only people who can get through the do not disturb. But yeah, no, I think it's a good point. Helping people to continue to stay connected. Oh, here's Ishani's when ads are in her face, it's annoying, but if they're subtly at the end, it's not in your face.
Exactly.
I love that suggestion. So all of those things are good things that you guys have been telling me. So hopefully some of the folks who are listening to this live who have other, content that they create or businesses or podcasts that they're promoting. If you're trying to reach Gen Zs, these are just some of the things that my interns have been helping me understand. And also to, look at growing the podcast. Also, just a quick shout out to the Summer Rise program. This is a program through the Montgomery County Public Schools here in Maryland. And we have access to 5 weeks of summer interns who are going to be supporting all kinds of different businesses in our county. And this happens every year. So if you're a business and you want to have some wonderful interns and input, like I'm getting this summer, make sure that you sign up next year and you can host students like David. So David, this is your second year with Summer Rise, right?
Yeah, my second year. So my first year was great. I had a lot of fun. That's why I did it again. But now when I refilled out the form, I was looking for something more that would set me up for the future, because my last one was more also like people skills. But yeah.
Yeah, good. Well, hopefully you're getting what you're doing and you're getting a good experience. And Ishani as well. I know you're interested in doing more business things. Both of you guys are kind of interested in maybe marketing, maybe business. So hopefully this is giving you a behind the scenes in a small business. But also, David, you just participated in an ad and you didn't even realize it.
Okay. See, there you go. There's a subtlety. I don't even know what you're talking about. I'm gonna be honest.
We just did an ad for the Summer Rise program.
Boom. Wait, really?
Yes.
I thought it was just like a shout out. You know what I'm saying?
That's all an ad is a shout out.
Okay. All right. That was subtle. I mean, I didn't.
Is that good?
We're practicing. I thought you were being a nice host.
I am being a nice host, but that's an ad for the program. So this is how it works. I love it. So we're here. We're just hanging out on this live, and it's part of our Social Impact Level Up podcast launch party. So Ishani like that. It's always a good time here when we're hanging out live. So if you have been with us, if we are interested in what we're working on, drop us a comment in the chat. We'll see them when the live posts. Usually it'll have the feed up on LinkedIn or on YouTube for a while. So we'll be able to see your comments. We'll reply to them. If you want to give David or Ishani a shout out, feel free to go through and say hi, tell them they're doing a good job and they're excellent support for me. So thanks for being here today, David. I'm going to let you go off and do the rest of your work that you have assigned.
Yeah, thank you.
But we will end this live, and Ishani, feel better. She's got COVID. So shout out to you for coming to work sick from your bedroom.
That's an ad right there.
Ads for Ishani's health. Exactly. All right. We'll see you guys. Have a good one.